everyone, welcome to Ida's Tailoring. Today's video is not a tutorial, but the account of my misadventures trying to add a sleeve on a gala dress. And the problem is not the job. I've done that job countless of times. The problem was that I didn't plan from the beginning. So let's go. This is the gown that I need to add the sleeves. As you can see, it's gorgeous. It's very beautiful on my customer. It's just that it has a red flag. When I was talking to my customer, she asked me to do a narrow sleeves with an opening so she can show the arms a little bit. But I explained her that I need to do those sleeves with a little bit of gathering at the top. And she says that she was okay. So I took her measurements and then I make a pattern for her sleeves. So this is when the problem started, because I knew exactly what I needed to do, but I didn't do it. So I did my pattern. I did a basic pattern of the sleeve, and then I went to the dress to confirm the armhole. As you can see, I'm showing here that this dress is kind of going in a little bit too much, and that I needed to make that sleeve with the gathering on top just to try to make up for the lack of shoulders, let's say. Well, but anyways, I measure my shoulders and then I measure my armhole, and I don't know, it seems like I could do that dress, forgetting everything that I learned with my all years of experience. Well, I decided to go ahead to make the opening and to just gather the sleeves just a little bit, but not really enough. In my defense, I can tell you that I really didn't have that much of material, because what my customer did was buy a few scarves for me to do that job. And when I started the phase of opening the top part a little bit to gather that part so the arm could be fitted inside with the shoulders and everything, I thought that maybe I don't need it to open it so much because the armhole was probably the same size. Here's the thing. When you are going to add a sleeve, you have to think what you are going to do. Because what happened is the sleeve, to be workable normal sleeve, has to be installed in a normal workable armhole. You can add a sleeve in a normal armhole, but they cannot be normal sleeve. You have to change something somehow. So what I have here, I have a dress that has an armhole that is very close to a real armhole, but is not a real armhole. I mean, we are missing about 3/4 inch or so of the armhole. And then I have a scarf that I have to make the sleeves from those scarves. And my customer wants that the sleeves open as much as I can, because as she understands, of course, that the scarf will open, but not, so I have really not that much material, but I want to do the whole job. And, I got kind of involved in all that things. I needed the sleeve to be long, super long. Oh well. So I did what I will do always. I'm making this video for you guys to let you know the process of putting on the sleeve. But now I cannot use it for that. I can use it for show you what not to do. So as you see, I finished the pattern on the fabric because I did the minimum in the paper, and then I took all the fabric that I could to open the sleeve as much as I could. I am working with a fabric that is so thin because this was a scarf, and I had to take the necessary measurements to work with this, and I changed my needle for a very thin needle. I'm doing everything well. except what I needed to do at the beginning. So now I'm in my sewing machine. I'm stitching my fabric. I have another problem with my iron that is just dumping water, and this fabric gets stained with the water, so I cannot even iron it. It's the perfect storm. I cannot even iron it well because I'm afraid of the machine, but I'm doing what I can to do my best. So while I'm working on that sleeve, the customer came because what happened is that I had a few dresses of that customer because this was a super wedding and there were so many celebrations. So I did for this family, I don't know, probably 10 or 12 dresses in total. And I'm working now on the dress, and the customer arrived to pick up other dresses, and my sleeve is pretty much almost done. Like I use the band roll to make a narrow hem for the opening, and then I sew the back of the sleeves, and everything seems that is working properly. I told her that I will have that dress ready that day that she came, but about, I don't know, 4 o'clock or something like that. And she came about, let's say, 1 o'clock. And when she came, I was, oh, if you will come a little bit later, I will have to have it done. But let me try on the sleeve on you to see if everything is going well. And I tried the sleeves on her, and the sleeves were perfect. I was a little bit scared at that moment just because her arms are very skinny. She's a skinny girl, and I didn't know if I did everything with the measurements, but sometimes you don't believe that the measurements are correct. But well, so I'm working on my dress. I started to notice some stain because of the water. And look, let me show you how you can remove it. If you have a water stain, what you need to do is water it again. Like I take a piece of fabric, a piece of cotton, and I wet the cotton a little bit, and then I'm going more or less to the edge of the stain, and then I put a little bit of water. Then it comes off, go a little bit out, but you can keep doing that, doing like watering, and then dry it with the iron, and then keep doing it, and it will disappear. You don't need to wash the whole thing. Again, you can just remove all your stain. But that was a problem that get over, but you know. So I'm here. I tried the sleeves on my customer, not the sleeve on the dress, just the sleeves on her, and they seem like they are perfect. And I said, okay, let me now then add the sleeve to the dress. And when you're adding the sleeve to the dress, there are many things you can do. There are a lot of ways to do it. One way, which is probably the more correct, is to open the whole armhole, and then you add the sleeve to the upper layer of the armhole, and then you finish the lining by hand, like closing it, or you can close it by machine, but I prefer to close it by hand just because it's more accurate. This was the method that I wanted to do, but because the dress had like a little edge, I didn't want it to disturb all that, and I decided to go with a way that is not the best, but is the fastest. So I sew my sleeve on my dress just on top, because then I sew it again like I'm making a kind of French seam, you see. So I did that, and then I went to the mannequin to see how it was. And then, you know, the problem that I saw at the beginning, like a red flag, but I ignored it, reach out to me. We need more shoulders on that dress to install some sleeves. So I realized that I just can't, because it's just that it's impossible. So I knew right away that I have just to open the sleeve and install the part of the shoulders that I needed. I needed the whole armhole, but I thought that I can get away with installing the shoulders only. So I'm in the mannequin and I'm doing what I should have done from the very beginning. And it would have been great if I do it with the customer when the customer came for the first time to try on the dress. So I'm adding the part of the material that needed to complete the armhole. Just for you to understand better, let me show you this picture. This is a wedding gown I did last year, and it was just straps, and she wanted to add the sleeves. So I built up the whole armhole and then added the sleeves. And as you can see, it's seamless. So I'm doing something similar now with my dress, but after my first failure. But I can see now that if I add that little bit at the shoulders, I will be okay. So I have my pattern now to add that little part of the shoulders that we needed. So I'm going back to my table and I'm just balancing the pattern, making sure that it's all okay. And I need some support. So I'm using like a gray cotton to add to the material, because remember that I told you from the beginning that this fabric was very, very, very thin. So I'm adding a cotton. This is what I do very often when I have to do a corset or something like that. I usually add, it's like an interfacing, but sometimes the cotton work a little better than the same interfacing. So I'm taking my material and now I'm just thinking that I'm the artist, more artistic in the world. And I decided that I couldn't add that piece just plain. I wanted to do a little bit of draping. So I took my fabric, the little pieces I have, and I try to put it on bias. And I make some pleats to put it in my shoulders. And I try to sew that together, but remember that we are talking about 1 inch and 1/4 or so, and I want to have some pleats there. Sometimes I get too creative and I put it and it kind of looks good, right? It doesn't look bad. So I decided, okay, now let me cut the lining, because as well it has to be a lining. Again, the water in the way. So I'm cutting a piece of lining so I have everything. But someone in the middle of the process, I realized that this was really not too feasible. That in the paper or in my mind, because sometimes I have an extreme imagination. Some people have a fantasia. I am hyper fantasia. So in my mind, I see everything very nice. But I decided to be a little bit more honest with myself and just do that plain, because there are so many reasons why. So I put my fabric again. This time I make it flat and nice over the piece I'm working with. And I'm serging, I'm doing everything now to finish my sleeves. So still I kind of need to ease that before I put it so my customer can move. Because that's the thing, when you do a job like a garment, or you repair or change a garment, you have to think that your customer needs to move. So I'm putting everything there. And this time finally was okay. I put it on the mannequin to see if it will look good, and it seems that yes, that this time will look good when I finish. So I can do my work now and finish my project. But I wanted just to share that with you, the easy way to do it. But I think by sharing you my mistakes, it's kind of a learning experience too, right? And if there is someone here that is watching this video but doesn't sew, I wanted to explain to that person that this is why sometimes you go to your tailor and the tailor tells you, oh no, I cannot do it. It's not that the tailor don't know anything and therefore they don't know how to do it. It's sometimes that the tailor has considered that it can be so many problems that it's not worth it to try. And I'm saying that because I realized that this problem could emerge at the moment I saw the dress. But I ignore it because sometimes you like so much your customers that you get a little bit blind. But because this is more job and then you have to charge more, sometimes you say, oh, maybe I can get away with it. And then who pays the consequence? Me. I finished that day about at 8 o'clock in the night or something like that. But now the dress is done and I think it's all good. Oops, the hems are not done. My colleague did it the next day. So if you find this video useful or entertaining, please give us a like and don't forget to subscribe, share, comment. Bye.